Hello and welcome back, everybody. Thank you so much for all the views on my first video last week, the feedback, the ideas for potential video ideas for my future videos. I really appreciate it, and it really means a lot to me. Thank you for engaging, and it means the world to me, and it was such a great way to start the channel. Today's video is going to be an interesting one. It has to do with the weekend and capping it off with having to go to the emergency room at the hospital. I know I mentioned I wanted to do the video where I talked about my beginning symptoms 2 years ago and then up to the diagnosis and what that was like getting that. But I thought it'd be a great idea to, be as candid as possible and talk about the things that are actually happening, live day by day, and this just happened. So I thought I would do this one before that next video. I'm hoping to get that next video out before the weekends, but we'll see if I can do it. Megan and I, my partner, we're going on a trip to Nova Scotia next week, so we're going to Halifax and kind of the surrounding area. We're really excited for that. It'll be nice to kind of get away. It's my first time really kind of traveling in a bit, so it'll be nice to just have some time to ourselves, relax. I highly recommend, if it's something you can do while you have cancer, try and get away as much as you can, go enjoy some things, because it just kind of makes you feel refreshed and just gives you time to kind of appreciate life for what it is, given a really crappy circumstance that we're in, right? So try doing it if you can, even if it's close by, going for a hike maybe to some trails nearby. Just get out and enjoy the weather. And I know it's not easy for everybody, with the way I've been feeling. It also hasn't been easy for me, but I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that next week will be good. So back to what the video is about. We went to our friend's cottage on the weekend. We went up Friday night. So our really good friends, Ali and Evan, they have a cottage, which is just a little north of where we live. They graciously invited us to their cottage along with a bunch of friends. So thank you, and Ali and Evan. We really appreciate it. I'm sure all of our friends do. And thank you for having such a beautiful cottage. Little plug for them. You can follow them here if you live in Ontario and you need, or if you're looking for a getaway to a beautiful cottage, check out their Instagram here, and you can see all the posts that they have of the cottage and how beautiful it actually is. So thank you guys, we really appreciate it, and hopefully you'll have a ton of bookings this year. So the weekend started off really nice. We got there Friday evening. We were just chilling around, had a bonfire, just playing some games up in the cottage, and yeah, it was pretty chill. Then we went to bed. Fast forward to the next day, Saturday. It was such a beautiful day to be on the water. We were all down there on the dock, just soaking up the sun. Obviously I'm a little more covered than most people because with the current treatment I'm on, it makes my skin pretty sensitive to sun, so I have to be careful, and I really have to kind of cover my body, whether it be with sunscreen or just some longer sleeve clothing. But yeah, I got as much sun as I felt was good, and luckily no burns over the weekend. One of the things we were doing on the weekend that people were participating was a lot of kind of like water sports. So Ali and Evan have a Yamaha Wave Runner. If you've never been in one, they're a lot of fun. Highly recommend. Now, that being said, obviously it does require a little bit of, not like a ton, but a little bit of physicality. So if it's something obviously you can't do while you're on cancer, then maybe you can be a passenger and you can go a little slower, but they are a ton of fun to be on, and highly recommend trying to get on one, while you can, or at some point in the future if it's possible, because yeah, they can be a lot of fun. They're quite a thrill, so it might not be for everybody, but YouTube it if you've never been on one. They're a lot of fun. So with the Wave Runner, Ali and Ev were taking turns actually having people either water ski or wakeboard behind the Wave Runner, which was a lot of fun for some of our friends. Unfortunately, I had the grand idea of maybe I should give it a try, and we ended the weekend off with maybe it wasn't the best idea. So I decided to go wakeboarding, even though, again, probably not the best idea. But at the time when I was thinking about it, I was struggling with, should I do it? Should I not? Like, what can happen if I do it? I could injure myself, which wouldn't be good for obviously being through treatments and recovery. I thought about how I might not even be strong enough these days to do it because I'm pretty out of shape for one thing, and obviously my energy levels and my strength aren't super high right now because of treatment. So, was I even going to be physically capable of getting up on the skis or the wakeboard and actually being able to do it? Another thing was how cold the water was. I'm a big baby when it comes to cold water, so I didn't really want to get in after dipping my toes in, but it's one of those things that you just kind of have to suck it up if you want to be doing that kind of stuff anyways. But then I was thinking about it a bit more and I was like, you know what? Like historically, this is something I've been able to do like pretty easily. My best friend Kai, I grew up going to like his cottage almost like every summer. We used to do quite a bit of wakeboarding, water skiing, tubing. So it's something I'm familiar with and know how to do. Like it's not something that's ever been like super hard for me. By no means am I amazing at it or a professional, but like it's something that came pretty easily for me and pretty natural. And I thought, you know what, like maybe it would be a good idea just to try it out and, do something fun. So I ended up deciding, you know what, let's try it out. I'm going to do it and see what happens. And, I got in the water, it's freezing immediately. I was like, oh, I'm kind of regretting this because of how cold it was. But then, we got going. It took me, I think, 3 tries to get up on the wakeboard. And so, as you're trying to get up, it requires quite a bit of effort. So the water was no longer cold. It was actually really nice because I was pretty like warm and, the exertion was making me feel pretty exhausted. But eventually, I was up and going and I was going around the lake. I did fall once and then, I wanted to get back so I could get by the dock and get some pictures and videos taken of me while I was up because I thought, it'd be a cool little thing to have for the channel here. So I got back up again and we went by the dock and then I kind of just like willingly let myself go at the dock to get back out of the water again. The whole time I was up on the wakeboard, I will say I was like, this was not a good idea. I was so tired immediately. It was so hard on my arms and my legs. Like I just felt like I couldn't really do it very well. I had a hard time moving in and out of the actual wake that the wave runner was making. So I just really stuck out to one side of the wave runner and just stayed there. I'm not like horribly upset or regretful that I did it, but I did realize while I was doing it, probably wasn't the greatest idea, especially with what was to come. So when we got back, I was just absolutely exhausted. Like I let go of the rope and took the wakeboard off and got it out of the water. But then, I just like sat in the water. I had the life jacket on, so I was floating and I was like, oh, because I was just so tired and my body was just so exhausted. The water felt so nice because I was so hot, obviously, and it was just nice to like have no pressure on my body and the water just kind of supporting me and just to be able to relax there. But oh my gosh, I felt so tired after. By the way, I forgot if I mentioned, but I am feeling a little under the weather, so my voice is a little hoarse. So that might explain, why I'm sounding this way. So I do apologize. I hope you can still hear me okay. But I can't remember if I mentioned that at the beginning of the video or not. Once I was done resting in the water, I got out, dried off for a bit, sat down in one of the Adirondack chairs, and I was just kind of sitting there relaxing. But, I really noticed how tired I was and how sore my body was. So I decided to go take a nap and just kind of rest off how I was feeling. Fast forward 2 hours later, I wake up and my whole body is just in such a dull ache. And I'm sure like if you've ever gone to the gym for the first time, or if it's the first time after it's been quite a bit of time since you've been, you know what it's like after that first workout where your whole body just feels like it's been like put through like a marathon and it's just so sore, like kudos to all my friends who do marathons. I'm super envious of that because it's a lot of hard work and dedication. And, you guys know who you are, great job. But, it's just not something I can really do these days, just due to, how my body is and with the treatments and my energy levels. So I was feeling pretty horrible after I woke up from my nap. I took some Tylenol and I was starting to feel a little better. It took about an hour or two for it to kick in, but once it did, I was feeling okay, got through the night okay. We had a lot of fun, just chilling again, had another bonfire. It wasn't until the next day that, I woke up and realized, wow, I'm in pain. I was not feeling good. I went and got a little bit of food to eat for like a little bit like a late breakfast. I guess it was brunch. Um, Sat around for it, had a coffee, and then I just went back to sleep because my body was just so tired and I just felt like I needed a rest. So went back to sleep, and then I think that was like I went back to sleep around 12:30 to 1, and then I woke up again around 3:34. I was just in pain and I was having a horrible time trying to regulate my temperature. I was so cold, but I was also drenched in sweat. So I was like, oh no, like I think I have a fever. But I was like, I don't think I'm sick. So why would I have this fever? My best friend and roommate Alex, he came into the room and was like, "Are you okay?" Because they had been down at the dock all day. Like they didn't come up for quite a while, and Alex finally came in and he asked me, and I was like, "Actually, no, I'm not okay." I was like, "Can you get Megan?" And he's like, "Yeah, of course." So she comes up and she's like, "Hey, like, what's wrong? Everything all right?" And I said, "No, like, I think I have a fever." And she's like, "Okay, well, let's get packed up here and we'll leave shortly." So we couldn't check my temperature because there wasn't a thermometer up at the cottage. But, just based off of the way I was feeling, I'm not a stranger to how fevers feel. So, like, I kind of know what my body's telling me. And, we made our way. We got home. And when we got home, took my temperature and it was 37.9. So, definitely pretty high, but not like a fever that's, of super concern. Our healthcare team in the past has told us, I think if it's like around 38.2, 38.3 for a consistent hour, that's when you want to get going to the hospital. Um, Fast forward an hour or so after the first temperature reading, we took another one and my temperature was 39.2. So very high, a little alarming. My Apple Watch kept telling me that my heart rate was a little higher than it should be. Like it was like around 120 to 130 just laying in bed. So, I was still sweating, I was freezing, and I just was feeling so feverish and not great. So, we had to decide to, do we go to the hospital or not? And we did decide to go to the hospital because we weren't 100% sure, what might be causing this. So we got to the hospital, and the triage time was actually really fast. We saw the nurse for triaging within like the first 5 minutes that we got there. Super quick process. The ER waiting room, it was pretty packed. It wasn't too bad. It moved decently quick. We've definitely been in there longer, but I think it took, we got there around 9:30, and I think we finally got to see the doctor in the back in the patient rooms around 12 midnight. I had to do some blood tests, urine tests. I did a chest x-ray. They did a COVID swab. So they did a bunch of tests. And then I think it was around 3 in the morning, like I had fallen asleep. I think Megan had also been sleeping for a little bit. And the doctor came back and told us, like everything looks normal. Like white blood cell count is okay. They couldn't really find anything that suggested that, like, this is immunotherapy caused or that I'm sick. So they said, because some of the tests take a bit longer, so I have to wait till the next morning for them to get back. They said, if anything comes up positive, we'll call you and let you know. But for now, like it, seems like everything's fine and the fever was going down. So they didn't think there was any reason to keep me at the hospital overnight. So they sent us home, and we just kind of got through the night and woke up the next day and was feeling a little bit better, but still not 100%. But the fever's broken, well, since essentially when we left the hospital now. Still not feeling super great. I when I was having the fever, I was feeling super lightheaded and dizzy, which is a newer kind of symptom for me with fever. I still oddly feel like that every now and then since we've left the hospital, but it's nothing what it was like. Um, but what we do think is what happened is we Googled this, and again, I know I mentioned in my last video, probably not the best thing to Google these things
Stop it. Get some help.
online, but we were kind of curious. A quick Google search found that really extreme muscle exertion can actually cause a fever because the body's worked so hard. So we think my fever was actually brought on by the wakeboarding, and that's why I felt so crappy, is because it just took so much out of me that my body kind of went into like this shock state and was responding in a way that gave me a fever. So, thank you, body, for obviously trying to take care of me and reacting the way you need to. But, I am sorry for myself that I kind of put myself through that, my body through that. So, sorry, body, but, it's just a stupid decision I made. And I kind of wish that, I didn't do it now. But it's a hard thing to decide what to do because I just want to live life normally, but life isn't normal these days, and my normal now isn't normal. So I just kind of have to come to terms with it. Like, it's not something that's easy to do because obviously, like, I just want to be able to do what everybody else can do. And it's sad when I see people doing these things. And, I never want anybody to pity me or feel bad for me about that. But it feels bad when I can't do something that like my friend can do right beside me, and it's like going to put me out of commission essentially for a few days because of doing it. So that's just something that I have to come to terms with. But, it's just the unfortunate reality of things. It's frustrating knowing that I can't do things the way I used to. At least I know like this is giving me a better idea of the things that I can do and what I shouldn't be doing. And it's a good indication for the future of what I should be trying to avoid. On this trip next week in Halifax, I feel like this is again going to be a bit of a test for kind of, my physical ability. I feel like it's going to be a lot of walking around, maybe some hiking. While that in itself isn't like the most strenuous activity, it's definitely more than I'm used to on a day-to-day basis. Obviously, my energy levels are super low most of the time, and I'm not in the best of shape. So we'll see how it goes. I'm really, really excited for the trip, and I can't wait to see what's out there. But I would be lying if I said I wasn't nervous about, um, feeling a little exhausted by the end of each day. However, I am doing more and more these days. It's been a long time, like 6 to 8 months of like not doing a whole lot. I mean, we did just come off winter, so that's already kind of like a bit of a lull between that time of doing things. And with how I've been feeling, I haven't been doing a lot. But now it's been getting nicer out, like obviously I want to be out and about more, try to do the more fun things that I've been used to doing. But I just have to kind of get a better gauge for what I am and am not capable of doing, which is, wakeboarding is not one of the things that I probably should be doing these days. But I gave it a try and I found out, and I gave myself a fever while doing it. So yeah, so that was a bizarre way to end off my weekend. I hope everybody else's was a little better than mine was. I had a great weekend aside from absolutely torching my body. But, while the wakeboarding like did kind of put me on my butt, like I still did have a good time doing it. It's been a long time since I've done it, and like it's just fun being able to do those things. Like I love water sports, and it's something I again grew up doing, but it's just not something that I'm really capable of doing now, especially when my muscles haven't been used to doing that sort of thing. I do again want to hopefully get out the next video by the end of this week. We'll see if I can do it or not, depending on how I'm feeling. And obviously, I have to get ready for the trip and get packing. But hopefully, it can be done. If not, then I'll post after I get back from the trip. I'll hopefully have some really good videos and shots of the East Coast and what it's like out there. I'll have a bit to talk about from the journey out there. We're really, really excited. So definitely stay tuned for that. I noticed, tons of views on my first video last week. So again, I really, really appreciate it. If you like today's video, please leave a like on the video if you can, and leave some comments or questions down below. Um, uh, from last week's video, there were a ton of views, but I noticed there weren't a ton of subscribers. So if you do like what you see and you're enjoying my content, throw a subscribe my way for the channel. It'll help you get notifications when I have a new video out, and it'll also help me as a channel grow larger. So hopefully I can reach a wider audience to help through their troubling times. So yeah, if you like what you see, then like the video and subscribe, and I would be super grateful for that and very thankful. So I'll end off there. Thank you so much again for watching today. Really appreciate your time. I hope you found this video interesting and entertaining. If you are watching and you do have cancer, maybe don't go wakeboarding. Just little hot tip there, but try to enjoy the nice weather as much as you can, depending on where you are in the world right now. So I hope you all have a good rest of your day, and I hope you all enjoyed the video. I will talk to you guys next time. Have a good one.